Arsenal's perfect Champions League run finally took a dent in Germany, but it didn't break. In a night that had all the familiar ingredients of a tricky European away leg, the Gunners left the BayArena with a 1-1 draw against Bayer Leverkusen in the first leg of the round of 16, and the kind of late twist that can change the mood of an entire tie. Because just when it felt like Arsenal's record was about to turn into a regret, Kai Havertz stepped up and delivered the last word. Back on the ground where he spent years coming through the ranks, the German kept it simple and ruthless from the penalty spot in the 89th minute. No big celebration, no extra theater. Just a clean finish beyond Janis Blaswich. And suddenly Arsenal had momentum again. For long stretches, this match felt like a test of patience. Mikel Arteta came into it with plenty of confidence, and not just because of Arsenal's Champions League form. He also rotated heavily, making 10 changes on the side that cruised past Mansfield Town in the FA Cup. It was a clear message. Arsenal have a packed season, and they believe the squad can handle nights like this. The opening was promising, almost perfect. Gabriel Martinelli, who's been electric in this competition, and came into the game with 6 Champions League goals, nearly lit up the BayArena early on. Victor Gyökeres slid him in, Martinelli hit it hard and rising, and the ball crashed off the crossbar. For a second, you could feel the stadium freeze. It was that close to being the ideal away start. But after that early scare, Leverkusen grew into the game and began to drag Arsenal into a slower rhythm. Alex Garcia and Ezequiel Palacios took control of midfield, disrupting Arsenal's tempo and forcing the play into less dangerous areas. And that's when it started to feel awkward for the visitors. The pressure wasn't constant, but the flow wasn't there either. By halftime, it was a strange statistical picture if you used Arsenal's usual threat. They'd managed only 1 shot on target, and even more than usually, they didn't win a single corner. For a side that can be so sharp from set pieces, not even getting an opportunity told you a lot about how Leverkusen were managing the game. Then came the moment Arsenal hadn't experienced in this Champions League season until now. Falling behind. They weren't exactly hanging on before the break, but they came out for the second half and immediately looked a step slow. Leverkusen nearly scored straight from a clever kickoff routine, with Martin Terrier's header forcing David Raya into a quick save. And from the corner that followed, Arsenal's organization slipped at the worst possible time. Alex Grimaldo delivered the ball, and Robert Andrich drifted into space at the back post, basically untracked. The header was powerful. Raya had no chance, and suddenly Arsenal were trailing in Europe for the first time this season. Leverkusen fed off it. You could see their confidence rise, and Arsenal's attacking rhythm started to look a little clogged. Christian Kofane kept asking questions of Gabriel at center back, and going forward, Arsenal didn't quite click. Bukayo Saka, usually a reliable source of danger, had a quieter night by his standards and was taken off around the hour mark. That substitution mattered, because a player who came on changed the feel of the match. Noni Madueke brought directness, urgency, and that sense that Arsenal were finally willing to run at Leverkusen rather than just circulate the ball around them. And as the clock ran down, it was Madueke who created the key moment that rescued the night. In the final minutes, he surged into the box, nudged the ball beyond Malik Tillman, and Tillman, stretching in panic, clipped him. It wasn't subtle, and the referee didn't hesitate. Penalty. The home crowd didn't like it. Leverkusen players weren't impressed, but Arsenal had the chance they needed. And then it was Havertz. A return to the BayArena. A huge moment in a Champions League knockout tie, and he treated it like routine. Calm run-up, precise strike, into the corner. 1-1. Arsenal's unbeaten European night was restored, and their Champions League campaign stayed firmly on track. So, was it the result Arsenal wanted at kickoff? Probably not, but it might end up being the result they needed. A draw away in Germany keeps the tie balanced, and it sends Arsenal back to North London with belief rather than panic. And there's even a little historical comfort here. The last time Arsenal came to Leverkusen in the Champions League, they drew 1-1 as well, and then blew the tie open with a commanding win at home. This season still offers Arsenal plenty to chase, with multiple trophies in sight, and nights like this often become the telling ones. Not the polished performances, not the easy wins, but the games where things feel tense and imperfect, and you still find a way. Now it's back to Premier League business with Everton, and then the second leg of the Emirates, where Arsenal will fancy finishing the job. And if Havertz has anything to say about it, Leverkusen's Champions League story this season might end at the same place it began, only with the ending rewritten in red.